just go to the bank to qualify and they give you a number that you're not happy with, you'll just stop the process and then you'll keep renting or you won't buy.
They're not helping you. They're telling you how things are, right?
Is that you can't afford.
Homework,
also,
right? Homework needs
But when you come to me, it's like coming to 30 banks.
to be done ahead of time.
Correct. Yes. Actually, how much you're able to afford.
And how I can increase my score.
Always call a mortgage agent. Inquire again. Because there are other lenders that are more lenient than your traditional banks.
Telling you how to improve your chances.
There are options, correct, that other lenders that will be able to qualify you for a much higher amount, and you'll be able to buy something.
Hey guys, I'm here with Gus. Gus Koutoumanos is a mortgage broker. He has a couple of businesses, very successful entrepreneur, business owner, and together since 1998. And I got all my mortgages, all my financing through Gus. And today we will ask him, what should we know for shopping for a mortgage?
Well, first of all, Anuda, I want to thank you for doing this with me and giving people the information and some of the insight that they need. When you're shopping for a mortgage, there's two types of people looking for a mortgage. One is looking for a mortgage for the first time. They've never done it before, and they need guidance, and they need to trust who they're dealing with, and they need to deal with a realtor, they need to deal with a bank or a mortgage agent, they need to deal with a lawyer, so they can get very confusing. So before you decide to go out and pursue home ownership or an investment property, you should find out how much of a mortgage that you are able to qualify for, which will make everyone's job a lot easier, because if you have a pre-approval certificate, then you can go to a realtor with confidence and say, here's what I qualify for, and start the process that way. You never want to go to a realtor and start looking at properties that you can't afford. So that's a very important step.
Homework,
also,
right? Homework needs to be done ahead of time.
Correct. Yes. I mean, the basic stuff, you need to have a job, you need to have some money for a down payment. That stuff is simple stuff, but you need to pinpoint exactly how much you're able to afford in financing.
And I remember actually that you were consulting me on how I can increase my credit, my score, credit rating. Yes.
Right. So your credit score is also a very important part in this. A lot of people, they end up going to their bank and asking to get a pre-approval, and the bank gives them a number that they look at and say, well, oh geez, this is not good for me, I can't afford a mortgage. So after that happens, always call a mortgage agent, like myself, and inquire again, because there are other lenders that are more lenient than your traditional banks that everyone, most people seem to go straight to their bank. They try to apply for a mortgage. They get an amount that is way below what they were expecting. So next step, or you should go to a broker first, because they will be able to take you through the process. Great, if you can go to a bank, that's great. You're going to get a little bit better interest rate. But if you can't go to a bank, and if you just go to the bank to qualify, and they give you a number that you're not happy with, you'll just stop the process and then you'll keep renting or you won't buy.
They're not helping you. They're telling you how things are, right? So
right.
They're not telling you how to improve your chances.
There are options, correct, that will be so there are other lenders that will be able to qualify you most of the time for a much higher amount, and you'll be able to buy something.
Right. Question number 2, why should someone use a mortgage broker instead of going to the bank?
Also, very good question. So I used to work at the bank. I left the bank because I had access to many more lenders. I still work with the bank that I left, but as an independent mortgage agent, one, the banks pay me for my services, so it's just like coming to a bank, But when you come to me, it's like coming to 30 banks. So I'm able to shop around. Whereas if you go to if you don't go to a mortgage agent, then you have to do the shopping to 30 different banks. Whereas I can do that for you. So that's the first thing, is I have access to many more lenders. The second thing is accessibility. And this is important because as a home buyer or an investor, when you're making decisions that impact your life, you want answers quickly. And so when I worked at the bank, I was basically 10 to 4. And outside those hours, you can't reach me. And during those hours, it's difficult because everyone's trying to reach me.
Right, and now Gus answers the phone 7 days a week,
So yeah,
from morning
pretty
till
much,
night.
you can call me anytime you have a question, because I can usually answer it in under a minute. And so it puts your mind at ease, and it makes me know that you're comfortable. Whoever you decide to deal with, you got to feel comfortable with them. The questions that you have need to be answered and explained. And I mean, so you're dealing with like I said, you're dealing with a realtor who's got to deal with the mortgage person, who's got to deal with the lawyer. And so all these three people that are involved in the process need to deal with each other.
Exactly.
So I'm pretty personable, so I can handle dealing with a realtor and a lawyer.
Absolutely, 100%. What tips can you give us?
So I mean, when you're making a decision to purchase, and you're making a large investment, you always have to think about the future and the long term. So, is your plan to buy an?
Gus, why did you decide to work for yourself?
That's a good question, but it wasn't a hard decision for me.
And you have not one, but how many businesses do you have?
I have a couple.
A couple.
So I decided to leave the bank because I realized that there was more value, not just for myself, for my earnings potential, but also for helping people. So, like I said, the bank was limited to the products they could offer, but it was guaranteeing my salary, which was okay. But I felt that I had more potential to earn more income and to help more people by leaving the bank.
Right.
So it wasn't a very difficult decision. I was basically, because in a bank, I was an account opener, a mortgage officer, an investment advisor, a teller when I needed to be. So I was basically doing, as a mortgage agent, I'm just a mortgage officer.
Right.
So I can focus on one thing, and I can help more people.
Right. And also it gives you some flexibility. I remember one time Gus answered my phone call when he was in Greece at the top of the mountain.
Well, that's the flexibility I get. And when they brought the internet to my family's village in the mountains in southern Greece, I was able to take a vacation that year and not miss a beat at work.
Awesome. Well, as long as you have a good balance, right? Because you don't want to live here.
No, I know, but sometimes I remember one time working at the bank. It was the day before I was taking 2 weeks off vacation, and I had about 7 or 8 files I still had to finish and submit for approval and get answers back to people when I came back, and I hadn't done that yet. So I stayed in the branch. I got there at 9 a.m. in the morning, and I left the following morning.
Oh my God.
Before noon. So I did 28 hours in the branch. After we locked up, I stayed in my office, and I worked for a day straight just so I can get answers back to people, because I knew I was going on vacation.
Right.
So
over here, we will put all Gus's information. You can call him, you can email him, or you can visit his website. So his phone number is 416-828-4253. Email is L as in Lucy, G as in George, lgmortgage, one word, @rogers.com. And his website is mortgagegus.com. Thank you so much for the coffee.
you're most welcome.
I know that self-employed people have most difficulties in qualifying. However, you help everyone, right?
That is correct. when someone works for themselves and they decide to leave the employment world by their hourly job or their salary, they do so with the hopes of freeing up their time, potential to earn more money, and also saving income tax, because that's a biggie nowadays. Taxes are.
Do you save more money when you're self-employed?
Well, you have the potential to, because as someone who's self-employed, you can expense a lot of things on your tax returns.
That's true.
And so someone who grosses $100,000 and expenses their insurance, their office space, any subcontractors they're using, any supplies, it depends the type of work. You can expense your clothes, your shoes. You can expense, as long as it's reasonable, you can expense a lot of items. So if you're making $100,000, you get to expense $50,000 of them. Then you're only paying tax on $50,000. But if you're salaried at $100,000, you're paying tax on $100,000. So that could mean tens of thousands of dollars difference. However, there's a downside, because going to the bank to get a mortgage as someone who's self-employed poses some challenges.
But as you mentioned, why do you want to go to one bank if you can go to 30 banks?
Correct.
And if you start going to the banks, you can negotiate, right?
So what happens if you're self-employed, as long as you have a business license that's registered, 2 years is usually the time that the bank wants to see that you've been self-employed, and you've done your most recent taxes. It doesn't matter what your taxes show, as long as you have a business bank account and your business license or your corporation documents, and you've done your taxes, and in some cases you don't even have to have done your taxes, then you're able to qualify for a mortgage. And a lot of people are surprised being self-employed. They go to the bank and the bank will tell them no. However, we're able to work with the lenders that tell them yes.
Right. I want to thank Gus. Thank you so much for sharing that, because you believe that everyone knows what you just said, and people don't. And most professionals in any industry, they don't share what's involved because they think that everyone knows that, but we don't. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
He is the most knowledgeable guy.
Yeah, just pick up the phone, give me a call anytime whenever you have a question, because your mind could be put to rest with just a few minutes on the phone.
Exactly. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Nuda. Thanks, everyone.